Welcome, and this is chapter 18. In chapter 18, we're going to study about three sections. Actually, one of these sections are skipped. We're not going to study about it simply because it has certain material that we're not allowed to talk about according to the laws and regulations of UET. Muslim word expands. What do you mean by Muslim word here? Which Muslim word we're referring to?
Turkey.
Ottoman is part of it. Yeah, exactly. So, we're talking here about the same period of time, 1300 to 1700. Remember in chapter 17 we talked about Renaissance and Reformation. And we started the Renaissance right from 1300. But we were talking about the 1300 in Europe, and now we're talking about the 1300 in another place of the world, which is the Middle East today and the area just beside. We're talking here about the three Muslim powers at that time: the Ottomans, the Safavids in Iran, in Arabic we say Safawiyin, and then the Mughal Empire in India. As I said, section 2 we're going to skip it because there are certain information that we're not allowed to talk about. So, these three empires, Muslim empires, emerged in this period of time. It is the same period of time of the Renaissance in Europe. Their success demonstrates how cultural exchange promotes growth and prosperity. It was totally different from the belief at that time when people used to think that if we have like one culture in the society, then this would give us kind of strength because all the people are already unified under one culture. That was totally different at that time. Most of these empires grew based on different ethnicities and therefore they blended the cultures. And this is why actually it resulted in lots of monuments and achievements that are still alive till today. So, as powerful societies moved to expand their empire, the Turkish, Persian, and Mongol and Arab ways of life blended. Because there are lots of people in this area, the Middle East and the areas beside, who are from different ethnicities. So each of them, when they were merged under one flag or under one empire, each of them actually gave part of his culture. So all the cultures got blended together. The result was a flowering of Islamic culture that peaked in the 16th century. So it was also a good period of time. I don't want to say a Renaissance period of time, but it wasn't that much bad. It was, let me say, nearly similar to the Renaissance in Europe. The rulers of the three great Muslims empire, all these three empires share being Muslims, okay, of this era based their authority on Islam. Again, at that time there was nothing called constitution, so the constitution of the Muslims is the Quran. So they took their constitution based on the Quran. Yes. Era means like period of time. Alright. They based their power on strong armies, advanced technology. They were well educated and they were strengthening themselves. They were interested in keeping themselves updated, and the loyal administrative officers. They were very organized and systematic. However, problems in transferring power from one generation to the next contributed to the decline of each of these empires. We've studied before, I guess you studied before, grade 5 and 6, about the Roman, the Greek Empire, the Byzantine Empire. All the empires, all the civilizations in the world have passed through three stages: the beginning, the peak, and then the decline. So there was nothing different. Still, it's the same. Most of the time, the decline is caused by problems from inside, internal problems, mainly due to corruption. The same thing that has happened with the Ottoman Empire, as we're going to see. Actually, this is the empires here, the three empires: the Ottoman in the brown color. This is the Safavids in what is today Iran in the violet color, let me say, and this one, yellow color, is the Mughal Empire in what is today India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. I mean the Indian subcontinent. No, they were not. Sorry? Later on, the Ottomans actually extended a little bit to the Safavids, but they didn't extend it. Alright, let's directly go to section 1, the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans established a Muslim empire that combined many cultures and lasts for 600 years. To be able to last for 600 years, it means that you were very advanced. You could resist, the life at that time. Pakistan was full of problems and everybody used to invade everybody, full of fights. And as I said before, the main idea is about how cultures were blended throughout this 600 years in the Ottoman Empire, simply because they expanded their land. So the empire was expanding. They took part of the Southern Europeans, North Africa, part of like Southwest Asia. So lots of people from different ethnicities were living in these different areas, and therefore the cultures got blended together. Guys, here are some of the most important terms we're going to introduce in this lesson. Ghazi, Ottoman, Sultan Timur Mehmed II, different from our Mehmed, and Suleiman the Lawgiver, Devsham, and Janizari. Do you know what does it mean, Janizari, Mr. Mehmed? As long as we have a Turkish person here. Yes, Mr. What is it, sorry? It's army. Army, no, it's actually the elite army. He's talking and he put this one already, that's why I can't see anything. Did you eat basal or something in the morning? Alright then. How the Ottoman Empire was founded. How it was established. And as long as we have a Turkish person here, so he has to tell us about the history of his own place. Can you please come here? Mr. Mehmet? Our Mehmet.
Yes, you, sir.
Alright. Mr. Mehmet is going to talk about the Ottoman land and how it was. Nothing at all? You don't know anything about the history of your country? Alright, do you know that this is recorded and you are going to be in the YouTube now knowing nothing about your country?
Yes, I don't know about Ottomans. I know about the real thing.
About?
The real Turkish.
Real Turkish, so these are not real Turkish? Wow, we have a new theory in history. Okay, please come over. Okay, please.
Explain how the Ottoman Empire became one.
Exactly. You just say anything that you know about it. Let me just check the background. Please, guys.
I will tell you how the Ottoman Empire became big. First, there was a person called Osman. His name Osman. His father was Artagal.
Yes.
That was Artagal had 3 sons, and the smallest one was Osman, and he was smart. That's why he chose.
Go ahead.
Osman went to the Anadolu and like collect a group of people and Qabail.
Right, okay.
Yes, right. And then they went to expand.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, this is like. Where is from? Okay, so he knows about your country more than you.
What is this?
Okay, you can come and talk about the history of Bangladesh. Okay. Alright. Now, the Ottoman land was established, as our friend said, from what is today called Anatolia. Alright? It's an upland. You know what is an upland? It's not a mountain, but it's just an upland. The Arabic would say Hadam. It's a little bit upland. So, many Turks lived in Anatolia on the edge of the Byzantine Empire. We can talk about this before we know what is the Byzantine Empire. So let's just go to the map and check here. Guys, you all studied before about the Roman Empire. And we all know that the center of the Roman Empire was Italy, Europe, right?
Yes.
Roman Empire was expanding until it reached the peak of its empire. Now, by time, when it comes to the declining period of time to the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire started to lose control over this expanded area. You know, the more the size is, the less control you have. For example, I cannot control a classroom of 200 students. I can control a classroom of 20 to 30 students. So, as long as it's big, the control will be alright. So, at that time, the Byzantine Empire here, nearly here, in what is today Greece and the areas just around it, alright, just a little bit separated, let me say, and formed the eastern part of the Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire, the one we know, is located in Italy, and the Byzantine Empire, which is the Eastern European Roman Empire, but it has given the name Byzantium, was located here in this place. So, in the edges of the Byzantine Empire, in what is today Anatolia, it's somewhere here, actually, lots of Turks from the Turkish tribes, were living in this area. And let's go back now to our slide. And they actually called themselves as Ghazis. Ghazis means Ghuzat in Arabic, which means invaders. Those who used to fight and invade under the flag of Islam. So they started to reign on the edges of the Byzantine Empire as long as it was the declining period of time of the Roman Empire. So they started to expand, as our friend said. Expand in what way? Sometimes they used to raid on, take over the lands. Some other times they used to buy some other lands. It's the same as United States of America, for example. They took part of their land from Mexico, like for example California. They took it in a war. They fought and took it. It wasn't their land. But they took some other parts like Alaska by buying it. Okay. From 1326, one Ghazi, one of these warriors called Osman, he was a very successful Ghazi, a very good warrior, built a small Muslim state in what was called at that time, I don't know what is called actually, Anatolia. It's the area where they used to live. Europeans called him Osman due to the different pronunciation of the word. Osman, it's nearly the same. And consequently, his followers became known as the Ottomans because they are his followers, so he will be attributed or called after him. Who expanded the small Muslim state, as I said, by sometimes buying land, sometimes forming alliances. Like I'll go to another tribe and say, what do you think, guys? We can just, merge together so that we can expand our land. And some other times they just conquered other land by fighting and by force. The Ottomans used to win their battles because they used to be updated in terms of weapons. So they used to use gunpowders and cannons, while others were still using swords and spears. Now, that was the beginning of, let me say, the core of what was later known as the Ottoman Empire. Later on, Osman died. Who came after him? His son, Orkhan. So, he was the first one to call himself Sultan. It's just a name, just a title. The same as we say king, queen, monarch in Russia, Tsar, in Roman Empire, Caesar is the same. It means overlord or the one with power. And usually the president or the king is the one with the power. 1361, the Turks conquered Adrianople. Remember when I show you the map? Again to the map. This is the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire was extended over this land, and it has two major cities. It was obviously so many cities, but the two major cities were Adrianople here, and that was actually in what is today the European part of Istanbul, and on this part here, you had Constantinople, which was the capital of the Byzantine Empire. So we can say Adrianople was the second major city of the Byzantine Empire, while Constantinople was the first major city in Byzantine Empire. So they took actually this one in the reign of Orkhan, which was an achievement. We talked about it, about the Ottomans as as a small Muslim land. Now when they actually took this major city, they expanded the land into a bigger land. Now, Ottomans ruled fairly over conquered people. When you take over a land and you rule fairly, you treat the people who are conquered fairly in a good way, then you will gain credibility and you will be much loved. And then you're going to build kind of bridge of trust between the conquered and the conquered. This is why, in most of the time, those actually Ottomans who took over lands, they didn't face any problems with the conquered people. Usually, if your land is conquered, you feel kind of, tension between the conqueror and the conquered, because they are always going to view you as a conqueror, somebody who took over their land, and for sure you're not going to treat them equally with your own people. It was different here. He ruled them, treated them fairly. They ruled through local officials appointed by the Sultan and often improved the lives of the peasants. So he conquered them, but he improved their standard of living, and at the same time he appointed some of the conquered land people to be rulers. Most Muslims had to serve in Turkish armies and make contributions required by their faith, but non-Muslims, remember that they were Muslim states, so most of the time they used to conquer non-Muslim states, so non-Muslims did not have to serve in the army. So it was a very good thing that he did. He didn't push the conquered people to work by force in his army, in the Muslim army. As long as they are non-Muslims, so they are not supposed to serve in the Muslim army unless if they want. Now, but of course they had to pay what is called in Islam the jizya, or the small tax. But there is like a very misunderstanding here. The jizya is something that non-Muslims who live in Muslim countries have to pay, but in return for the protection. So you're living in my country, you will have to pay the jizya, but it's my duty as a Muslim to protect you, to provide security and safety for you. So he used to take care of those people. Now, we were talking about Ottomans and Osman and his followers and how they started a small land and then they started to expand, and then we said how he expanded by taking the second major city in the Byzantine Empire. Okay? But this expansion was stopped, was halted. They witnessed a break. This break was done by Timur the Lame, who came actually from Samarkand today in one of the Stan countries, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, these countries, in Central Asia, and he was a very good conqueror who took everything in his way. He was coming from the Central Asian land, again to the map, and you can see he came from here, near, actually nearly here, here, and then everything in his way was taken over. And then he reached actually this place and he took over some of this land. He burned Baghdad, that was actually the capital of the Khilafah at that time. But then, suddenly, he just stopped here and he shifted his attention back to the east, to China. And guess what, guys? If he didn't stop here and decided to continue, we wouldn't have seen the Ottoman Empire. He was very strong. Alright? So he just shifted actually his attention back to the east, to China, and this is what has given the chance again to the Ottomans to expand their land. So this is objective 1. Before we move to objective number 2, I will show you this one. So we started with Osman. He was, I can say, kind of the founder. To be honest, his father, Portugal, as you said, was the first one who just came with the idea of making a country. Then Orhan, the one who just made the achievement of taking over the second major city of the Byzantine Empire, Adrianople. Alright, then we talked about how Timur the Lame made a break or halted this kind of expansion. Now, objective number 2. A war broke out among the 4 sons of the Ottoman Sultan. After Timur the Lame left, one of the sultans died, the sultan that was there in Ottoman Empire, and he had 4 sons. It seemed that he didn't appoint an heir to throne before he dies, and this is the advantage of appointing an heir to throne before you die, so that there will be no problems after your death. Now the problem started between his 4 sons over the position of the sultan. Mehmed I, one of the 4 brothers, defeated his brothers and he took the throne. Later on, he inherited the throne to his son. His son was called Murad II. And he was the first one who expanded up to the north in Europe. He took part of Italy, he took part of Hungary, and then he began again the expansion after the breakdown was caused by Timur the Lame. Alright, Murad II died, and who came after him? His son, Mehmed II. And you know this habit, sometimes we still have this habit, the Arabs, to call our sons and daughters after our mothers and fathers. Like I, for example, call my son after my father. So, his father was Mehmed, his name was Murad, so he named his son after his father, Mehmet, but to differentiate between the first and the second, we just give them numbers. The same as in France, Louis the 13, Louis the 14, Louis the, okay? It's the same name, but to differentiate between them, you can give them numbers. Today, the king of Jordan, for example, is called Abdullah, and we say Abdullah al-Thani, the second. It doesn't mean that his name is Abdullah al-Thani, or his father's name is Thani, no, for sure no. But because his grandfather was the king of Jordan before, and he had the same name, Abdullah, and he still has the same name, Abdullah. So to differentiate between Abdullah the first and Abdullah the second, we give them numbers. Now, what Mehmet II did? Mehmet II, or he was given this title, Mehmet the Conqueror. In Arabic, Muhammad al-Fatah, because he used to take over lots of land, to conquer a lot of land. He achieved the most dramatic feat in the Ottoman history. So the biggest achievement in the whole history of the Ottoman Empire was attributed to Muhammad II, or Mehmet as the Turkish state. He actually could conquer the city of Constantinople, again to the map, the city that I consider, or I told you about, as the major city, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Now, before I just continue, who can tell me why actually capturing this city was considered as a kind of achievement?
Capital.
Not only the capital, something else, yes?
Because they took like half of the cities and they wanted the capital.
Yes, Ali.
Geography and location give them an advantage.
Exactly. In what sense?
Because
It has Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea.
Exactly. Look at this, guys. He already conquered the city before we talked about, right? So when he conquered the city, he could connect between the European side and the Asian side, and this is why Turkey today is the country that extends its land over 2 continents. And Constantinople, just to try to scale the name in your mind, later on became Istanbul. Constantinople, Istanbul. And you know, I guess you visited Turkey, some of you at least. I was in Istanbul last October, and you can see actually, I just passed it from here, the Bosphorus Strait, where you can see the European part and the Asian part. And Beşiktaş is located in the Asian part. What do you think? You don't know? You don't know anything about this country? Okay, it's located here in the Asian part. Alright, so he could control the Black Sea, and also he could control the passage to the Mediterranean Sea. Alright? Now, next time, inshallah, we're going to watch a clip or a movie, short movie, about the genius way of taking over Constantinople. Because it wasn't easy, by the way. The Muslims failed to take over this land for more than 850 years. 850 years they kept on trying, but it was impossible. It was a very fortified land, and it was surrounded by water from 3 sides, so it was a peninsula. And the Byzantine actually made put a kind of barbed wire, very big barbed wire in the sea, so they could prevent all the Muslim ships from going in. And he just created an amazing and genius idea to conquer this land. We're going to watch this movie about next time, inshallah. So he conquered Constantinople. We saw the map. Actually, it is actually by conquering this Constantinople, with conquering Adrianople before, he could control the Bosphorus Strait that connects the traffic between the Ottoman territories in Asia and in the Balkan, I mean in Europe. Now, in 1512, Selim the Grim, the grandson of Mehmet II, came to power, and he started his expansion, and this time to the east. Remember, Murad started the expansion to the north. Selim actually is expanding to the east. So he took some of the Persian lands, and he just went also to North Africa, expanded the city, expanded the area. He just took over the most important Arabic cities like Mecca, Medina, and Cairo. These were considered and still very important Muslim cities, and you can see how now actually the Ottoman Empire is expanding. We have one. Okay, we're going to stop here, guys. Thank you.